I thought the will was a punishment. 30 days in her rotting mansion, no money, no help. Survive it, and I'd inherit her fortune. Fail, and everything went to my relatives. They smirked in the lawyer's office when the terms were read. My aunt whispered loud enough for me to hear, "He'll last a week, he's soft." They thought I was weak. They thought wrong. The first night, the house greeted me with silence. The wallpaper peeled like dead skin, the floors groaned, and the air stank of mildew and dust. Every corner whispered abandonment. I should have been scared. Instead, I was calculating. This wasn't punishment, it was a test, and my grandmother always loved her tests. The second night, I found her letters, hidden behind a false panel in the study, tied with a black ribbon. Her handwriting, sharp, elegant, unforgiving. This house will reveal the truth. Pay attention. Watch who comes for you. I didn't understand, not yet, but by the fourth night, I noticed the food I had rationed was disappearing faster than I ate it. At first, I blamed my hunger. Then I caught the sound of footsteps, faint after midnight. I waited in the dark, back against the wall, heart steady. A shadow slipped into the kitchen. My cousin Henry. So it began. They weren't waiting for me to fail. They were making sure I failed. Cutting power lines, spoiling food, locking doors from the outside. Every morning they came by the gate, asking with saccharine voices if I was holding up. Behind their pitying smiles, I saw their hunger. They wanted the inheritance, and they'd do anything to take it. But they didn't know me. I let them think their tricks worked. I starved in front of them. I shivered when they killed the heat. I coughed deliberately loud so rumors of my weakness spread. But at night, I scavenged the mansion. My grandmother hadn't left me defenseless. Hidden caches of canned food in the cellar, an old generator buried under tarps, keys tucked in hollow books. She had prepared me for their cruelty, and I used everything. By the 15th night, I was no longer surviving. I was planning. The mansion wasn't a prison, it was a stage, and my relatives were the perfect audience. I documented everything. Photographs of Henry sneaking in, recordings of my aunt tampering with the locks, proof of sabotage, betrayal, and attempted fraud. The more they struck, the deeper they buried themselves. And I smiled in the dark, knowing exactly how this would end. Day 22, the storm came. The old roof leaked, and water flooded the hallways. My relatives arrived at the gate with umbrellas and smug looks, waiting for me to beg. I opened the door just enough for them to see my soaked clothes, trembling hands. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered. Their eyes lit up like vultures finding fresh meat. But I didn't quit. I let them stew in anticipation, convinced my collapse was days away. Meanwhile, I prepared my finale. Day 30 arrived. I walked out of the mansion thinner, hollow-eyed, and silent. The lawyer gathered us all in his office, the will on the table. My relatives leaned forward, barely able to hide their excitement. He cleared his throat. By surviving the 30 days, the inheritance, now... Wait, I cut him off, sliding a folder across the table. Inside, photos, recordings, timestamps. Every betrayal, every attempt to sabotage me. The lawyer's face hardened. This is criminal. My relatives froze. Their smirks cracked, drained, fell apart. I leaned back in my chair, calm. They weren't just waiting for me to fail, they made sure of it. Grandma warned me. She told me to watch. For once, silence filled the room. Not the victorious kind they had dreamed of, but the silence of people watching their empire collapse. The inheritance became mine. Theirs became nothing but legal battles and shame. Now, when I think back to that rotting mansion, I don't remember the mildew or the hunger. I remember control. I remember patience. And I remember the look on their faces when they realized I had turned their trap into my weapon. My grandmother's will wasn't a punishment. It was an invitation, and I accepted it completely.